Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Health and Human Services and Aging Committee to order. Today is Wednesday, January 18th, 1 o'clock. Can we have a roll call, please?
Calling the roll, Ms. Conwell.
Here.
Mr. Tuma.
Here.
Ms. Baker.
Here.
Ms. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
We have a quorum, and I'd like the record to reflect that Mr. Jones is in attendance.
All right, thank you. And today, I'd like to welcome our two new members to the HHS committee. We have acronyms for all the committees, so we don't have to say all those words. So that is Councilman Tuma, and that is Councilwoman Baker.
Thank you.
So welcome. Anyone, we'll do the approval of the minutes in a second. Anyone signed in, public comment related to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair.
All right, only unrelated. All right. Since we have two new members, it will take the quorum from last year's committee to approve the minutes. So I make a motion to approve the minutes for the December 7th meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So that would be 3 ayes and 2 abstentions.
Thank you.
Matters referred to the committee today is only one item, and that if you, Chrissy, could read R2017-0006 into the record, please.
Resolution 2017-0006, making an award on requisition number 38075 to Oriana House Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $1,800,000 for operation of a one-stop reentry resource center for the period 1/1/2017 through 12/31/2019.
Thank you very much. And who do we have today presenting?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Council. This is Mary Kelly from the Cuyahoga County Health and Human Services Office of Reentry. I have presented you with Oriana House North Star's 2016 year-to-date report and also some informational material about what the facility is. So basically, we had a full RFP process that closed on September 20th. Oriana House was the only vendor to submit a proposal, and they were selected by our office, and we now are here to recommend them to extend their services per a 3-year contract for $600,000 per year. That is for operating costs, staff, and personnel. They operate a freestanding building where they are open 60 hours a week and provide free parking. They are on a bus line, and so we seek to continue those operations. They've got a center manager, dedicated staff that are both resident at the facility, and also we have 2 transition specialists who have piloted a project where they go directly out to the Northeast Reintegration Center for Females on East 30th Street, and also to the Grafton Reintegration Center, where we receive a large majority of males back into the community. So there's also a component, a pay-for-performance component, whereby they are paid to enroll people called members. There is a reason why we have that membership. First of all, it gives the people who use the facility a sense of ownership and belonging, and then they are also able to access the full range of services at the center. Frequently, having the membership means that they go on to become what we call enhanced members and take really intensive programming, life skills, GED classes, and also there's a very large component for job preparation, retention, and related services. Did you have any questions?
Yes, Ms. Kelly, I was reading over the description of the goods and services that were procured by the county. And one of the it states that most inmates and reentry citizens are unaware of available services. And I kind of thought that there were some efforts at the prison that were when the inmates were being released, going home, that they would have going home manuals. And if they knew that they were coming to Cuyahoga County, they were kind of given resources in advance. So the statement kind of in the contract dictates says different, that, part of the funds in this contract are utilized to make citizens aware of the services.
Okay, I understand the question, and that is true. We do have going home to stay guides, and actually there are dedicated reentry staff at all the facilities who are to work with people. But what we find is they know in general that there are services, and a lot of the residents wait until the last minute to avail themselves of them. So that's why North Star does the adult transition services to go in there, and really they put together a full comprehensive reentry plan that the people can continue on into the community. Also, there's a number of residents who are resident in the community already. Cuyahoga County, for the last 20 years, we've been the largest county in terms of sending prisoners to prison and also receiving them back. We've also got the jail, where a lot of people kind of cycle through there and serve out their sentences there. So there's a lot of people in the community as well who may not be aware of the services that are available to them. And very recently, with Second Chance Acts and some federal attention, there might be more services available than people knew maybe when they were incarcerated. So there still is an awareness and education piece to the services that we feel is valuable.
And you mentioned the center manager at what is his name?
His name is Marcus Bell.
Okay, and could you give the committee a breakdown of how the funds are utilized in each category?
Oh, absolutely. Let me refer to the budget. We are reimbursing for salaries and fringe benefits in an amount not to exceed $360,000. And that pays for the center manager, a half-time FTE for life skills and the computer lab running. We've got a dedicated person who works with towards employment in strictly and employment readiness and preparation and job search and job connection capacity. They source out employers that are hiring and that are willing to hire from this population and then work with people on connecting them. They also have a program whereby if you need materials, bus tickets to get to interviews, or if you are in need of steel-toed boots or a work uniform, they provide subsidies for that. They subsidize birth certificates and ID. Identification vouchers for those things. So they have a staff person who's dedicated solely to that. They've got 2 full-time transition specialists who work in the facility, and then 2 more full-time specialists who do the outreach to the prisons and also community outreach. Every year they have a resource fair that was very well attended last year. It was their first year they did that, and they had 500 people from the community. They've got a full-blown monthly calendar of services that's available on their website. It was actually too long to print out, or else I would have printed it out for you. We reimburse them $70,000 for facilities operation, and that can include supplies, utilities, communication, maintenance, and repair. They've got I don't know the exact square footage, but they've got a dedicated building at 1834 East 55th Street, which is the facility for North Star. It's dedicated to that. They have a medical lab. They've got computer space, as I had mentioned, a law library, and a number of meeting rooms that are utilized by the community. And of course, there's all sorts of self-help Alcoholics Anonymous groups and whatnot that go on there. They pay for the maintenance and the operation of that building, and it's open 60 hours a week, including a half a day on Saturday. Then the performance-based metric is we pay them $100 for every member that they recruit, and we are asking them to recruit a minimum of 1,700 new members per year.
700 minimum?
Oh, 1,700.
Okay.
Last year, they had maybe 1,678 was their year-to-date total. And that's not all the people that they see. The center is open to their family members and supportive persons to help them before they get out. And last year, they had a total number of clients served. This is a duplicated number, but their service interactions were 27,832.
Okay. And how long have you How long have they had this contract from the county?
They have, we had an RFP process to start them out that was awarded in 2010. We had another, where I think there were two vendors that applied then. We had another RFP in 2013, and they were the only vendor. And then last year, our 2016 RFP offering, and again, they were the only vendor.
Okay, and I'm a little confused in how we're off the budget cycle. So you said this is a 3-year, I thought they would have made some changes back then when we started in 2011 to try to line up all the contracts up with the biennial budget.
You know, that's a really good point. I think that what we were doing was going for the 3 years because that's, from what I understand from the Office of Procurement and Diversity, the maximum time. But it's not, you know, it's dependent upon funding every year. You know, I mean, so we've got, I guess, the latitude to renew their contract every 3 years. That's what we're seeking today. And then, of course, that's dependent upon the biennium budget process.
And I have one more question before I turn it over to my committee members. The SB EGO says 10%, but it said that this particular one was waived because they're nonprofits. I don't understand that. Is that a question for
I think
Office
that's
of
a question for
Procurement?
the Office of Procurement and Diversity, and I'm not exactly sure why that was waived.
Okay. Councilwoman Brown, you had a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To follow up with Councilwoman Conwell's question with regards to the bidding process, how was it advertised?
It was advertised through the standard county procurement. I believe that includes putting it out onto the bidder's website that everyone, you know, that people have access to. We also sent out the bids to 10 similarly situated vendors in Cuyahoga County, and I believe that there's a list to that. And that it just went through whatever OPD standard publication process on the website. I believe the Plain Dealer, they still do, and then we did send it out ourselves from our office to.
Do you know
to 10 different
approximately
vendors.
how long it's advertised for?
I believe that it's advertised for 3 weeks.
Just 3 weeks?
I think that that's the standard advertising period.
Okay. And the contract, is it an increase, decrease, or the same as the prior year?
This would represent an increase from the prior year, but what we did was just kind of consolidate the services. In 2012, we added a family component to the services. We added to that. And then in 2014, we added the adult transition model. So the total dollar figure of that would have been $630,000 for that whole package. So last year, they had some, we had readjusted the contract to, we wanted them to consolidate the services, basically. So what this represents is a decrease from $630,000 because we bundled it all together. Does that make sense?
So it's an increase in services, but a decrease in fees?
Yes.
Is that what you?
Yeah, and they had agreed to that because what we had done was we budgeted it for the newness of the program, and what we found was the mileage costs and the transportation costs were a little bit less than what we had anticipated with them going out to the facilities and also just with the outreach into the community. So we had just negotiated that, and they were okay with it.
And then a point of clarification, when you were going over the salaries and benefits, you said $360K. Is that per year or for the entire contract?
It's per year.
Per year. And then one last question. Can you clarify, is it 6 FTEs or how many full-time employees are we looking at?
They have the center manager, the 2 staff there, and then the 2 staff that are out there. And then I think that they've got 2 half-time FTEs that make it up to 6.
Make it up to 6. Okay, I think that completes my question, just some of which.
Okay, would you like me to follow up with the OPD questions? Some of the things on the timing I'm not exactly clear on.
Definitely with regards to the SBE component
Okay,
that
so the
Councilwoman
SBE.
Conwell expressed, and
And then also the timing, like how long is the RFP advertised for?
I think so because we
Okay.
have had some some conversations with some people that have expressed that sometimes for these larger contracts, that maybe 3 weeks might not be long enough time
Okay.
period for some of the people to submit. So if you could. that would
Okay,
be
well, I'll
great.
clarify if this was 3 weeks, which I believe it was, and if so, what was the rationale for that? Okay.
Councilman Miller?
Madam Chair, Ms. Kelly, first of all, I consider this program to be a very important and essential part of our workforce development program because
Thank you. We
we have
agree.
just such a large number of people affected, and it's very important that we have as many of our citizens be economically successful and not dependent in the long run on government services. So I commend the work that you're doing. Do we have a current estimate on how many people are coming back to Cuyahoga County from the prison system on an annual basis?
Yes, there's actually been a decrease in that, and that's attributed to is an increased focus from the federal side and from the state side on diversion programs first, rather than sending people to prison. And we do have a diversion program even at our county jail. So right now, coming out of the state prisons, it's around 3,400 men per year, 600 women total. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's about 300 women to Cuyahoga County, 3,400 men, 300 women coming from the state side, around 1,000 people who come out of the federal prison side. And then we have anywhere from 200 to 300 sentenced offenders who are sentenced to serve their entire time at our county jail. But I've heard estimates in the thousands of the number of people who could perhaps cycle through the county jail, either while they're awaiting arraignment, not able to make bail, or awaiting further disposition of their cases.
It's a little bit lower number than some that I've heard in the past, but still a very large number.
Well, it still is the largest in the state, but we've dropped from having 25% of the state population of incarcerated persons down to 18%.
And what's the current number of members that North Star has?
The current number of members now, how we don't track their activity. What we would hope is that you become a member for maybe a year and a half, and then you find what you need, you get on your feet, and then you kind of go on about your life. But I've heard 6,000 are people on the books as members, and of course they're always welcome to come back and avail themselves of the services, and many do, because there's a lot of people who have family and friends. They had a good experience at North Star, and so if they have people that they know who are in the system coming out, they refer them as well.
Typically, how many are participating in enhanced member programs at any one time?
At any one time, it could be 200 to 300. Usually out of the membership, most people do go on to become enhanced members. So enhanced members means that they're taking one intensive kind of component to it, which would be going through the NET program, which is that the job person that I had referenced, or GED. So usually it's anywhere from maybe 200 to 300 a month. And then they have people who've kind of become their regulars. In fact, they've got a metric on here that I thought was really, really awesome about volunteer hours. And this started out at 0. And I've seen it grow through the year. They've got member supporters who do cleaning jobs, volunteering. They've got 129 of those people, usually on average per month. And for the whole entire year, just members donating their time to the facility was 2,153. They have a number of volunteers. They had 426 outside community partners volunteering there. So the total number of volunteer hours was 6,123 for last year, which I just think is tremendous, because this is the community valuing the facility themselves and giving back to it.
Do we have any waiting lists for advanced membership services, or are we able to meet the demand. That's
We're finding that we're able to meet the demand. What I believe our office is going to be taking a look at this year, though, is alternate locations. This is all well and good if you can get to East 55th Street, and most people do. What we're finding, though, in the trends of where people are being released to, they used to be released primarily to an area kind of on the east side of Cleveland, kind of starting in the north, that South Collinwood kind of area, and then kind of curving around down into Slavic Village. What we're finding now, though, is there's a cohort developing on the west side of Cleveland, primarily around the 44102 zip code. So we're going to be looking into, should there be a satellite office there? The concern that we would have, though, is we would be interested in expanding the client base rather than just shifting them. You know, what I mean by is, you know, if we have 55,000 going to the one location, we don't want to just move 25,000 over here and still have 50,000. So we would want to take a careful look at that. And then, of course, you know, there's the community consideration as well, that we would have to go to, you know, the people in that community and express our desire to maybe have such a facility. But no, there is no wait list. People get served.
And final question: when it comes to job placement, are we primarily focused on initial placements, or are we starting to follow Executive Buttigieg's model, where we're going to start tracking people to help them go from step to step to step and end up with living wage employment at good wages and good benefits?
We are definitely following that mandate, and we had always been thinking that. In fact, that was one of the office's arguments, that, you know, a job is not a silver bullet that solves everybody's problems. It's good, but if you're having a job where you make $8 an hour or, you know, $10 an hour, that's fine to get your feet wet. But no, we're very, very much interested in career pathways and pathing towards employment. Is our main vendor that we work with in connection with North Star, and they are very, very cognizant of our desire to move in that way. North Star also refers people and helps them fill out their FAFSA forms if they want to have higher education, and in sourcing tradesmanship sorts of jobs. So my long answer to that is yes.
Okay, thanks, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Baker.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
And really just learning about what it is that you do. And thank you very much. As Councilmember Miller said, you really provide quite a service to those that are in
We
need.
appreciate that. There's a tremendous need. So thank you to the county for recognizing that need and supporting it.
Trying to understand your North Star Neighborhood Reentry Resource Center numbers.
Yes.
You have a total number of clients served for the year, 27,832, which I think you said earlier. Mm-hmm. Is that driven by any of the numbers on the first page? I'm just trying to put this together.
Oh, yes, it is. And actually, that's an unduplicated number. So what that
Okay.
means is
That was my question.
you could be a person who goes in there every single day, but they count them as a new person because that's a service contact. And we think it's important to capture that. So, you know, if we count one person and you're in there 52 times, you know, or like, you know, 6 days a week, we don't want to just count you as one, because we think that we're showing that the breadth of services. So you could have a need for 10 services and you're absolutely welcome to avail yourself of all 10 services. So that number is going to look inflated. So everything up until what service types requested, those are unduplicated numbers. That's the type of request that they get if people specify. The number of client in-person contacts is the 2238 number. So what they're doing is they're adding up that top line under each person category, and that's the number of contacts that they've had. with people.
Thank you, through the chair, thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay.
May I ask, continue?
Until you're done.
The numbers on service type requested, those seem, for the year, seem relatively low for the larger amount of number that are in-client persons served.
I do see that, and I think that I'm not sure why that would be, because I do recognize what you're saying. I can go back to North Star and dive down a little bit more into that. I think that some people just come in and say, well, I don't know what I need, just give me whatever you have. I believe that this is the count of specific services that people walk in the door with. And what that does is that gives us a good sense of the service types and where some gaps might be in the community. So if you walk in right off the bat and you know you need XYZ service, they're capturing that so that we can kind of, get that top level walking in the door. I believe that a lot of these people could be family members who kind of go in. A lot of the count on the service counts are people who might be attending an NA meeting or an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, so we're not going to record that. Like, why are you here, Alcoholics Anonymous? Oh, okay. So I think that there's some confidentiality around that as well. But I will look into that. And what I believe is this is people with their service request walking in the door for people who have a really specific thing. And that's just to capture for the Office of Reentry, what do people know that they can get there, and it kind of helps us more just to identify service gaps and to kind of rank them. Does that make sense? Kind of. Yeah. No, I'm gonna.
The
I'll ask them.
services, at least generally speaking.
Sure.
What services are used more than others? And for a 22,000 number, it's a pretty high number. I would think these numbers would be considerably higher.
Would be considerably higher. No, I can look into that, but what I can tell you is, from our research and what we see, their year-to-date totals in the categories that are specified there are in line with what we understand reentrance needs are. And of course, it's ID, employment, housing is huge. And actually what we see a lot higher that we didn't think we would is clothing and food needs.
Okay, thank you. I would
Yeah.
think that would be.
Yeah, no,
May
but I will definitely get clarity on these numbers.
I know that you certainly serve those that walk in your door. And I'm only because I'm not familiar with your program, as well as others here. Your success rate as far as following when they leave your doors, is there anything in place for that, in knowing if they don't come back, are they successful in life? Have they done, as Councilman Miller said, job placement and workforce skills and things that perhaps they are doing that, do you track that at all?
Yes, those are program-specific numbers that we track. North Star, at the end of every 3 years, and at the end of the year, they put out a qualitative report for us about how the clients view the quality of the services. Did I learn what I wanted to learn? Was I treated with respect? Did I find what I needed? And then also, they do have a recidivism study, but there is a caveat to that, in that it's kind of hard to track exactly back to, because I went to North Star, that is the reason I didn't recidivate. It's part of a basket of reasons that you didn't recidivate, but it's kind of hard to directly link exactly what happened there back to you not recidivating, because it could have been other factors in your life. So that's the long kind of asterisk answer, but we do get reports from them talking to recidivism and recidivism of members. They do track it, and I could provide that to the council too. It's really informative, but it's quite dense and lengthy, so I did not bring that full-blown report with me, but it's certainly available to you all. Absolutely.
I guess I wouldn't really care why they didn't come back. I guess just knowing that they didn't and were successful. I'm not sure the reasons why, whether it was family intervention or what. I guess I would just like to track that they were there. They're not coming any longer. Whether the services that you provided or other services they received,
had a contribution to it.
Right.
There are reports on that, and I can send you all the reports, and then if you had further questions with that. And also, everyone's welcome to take a tour of the facility, stop by the Office of Reentry at any time and ask us about the services and ask to see the reports in depth. Of course, as the council, you're always welcome to do that, and I will get you that report.
Thank you. One quick question. The library usage is 0 on all these categories. Is there a reason for that?
I don't know. Because I've seen people in that library room. I think that it was functioning as a law, quote unquote, library. So I'll delve into that too. Maybe people aren't coming in and specifically saying, I want to use your law library. So, yeah, that's odd. And I don't know why they'd even report it if it's zero. So I will ask them about that as well. But that room is utilized and it looks like a library. So.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions? Councilman Jones?
Thank you. First, the work you do is critical. I have so many constituents that I refer to North Star situations, and you are reentry. You are an entry point for resources. I've had, I can't even say how many individuals have just called, and I've had situations where they'd have a child who came out of incarceration and they were couch surfing.
Oh, yeah.
And to give that resource not just into the hand of the individual who had come out of incarceration, but to the parent,
Right.
so that they knew to play a part in helping their child.
No,
to-
and that's part of that expanded 22,000 number where we serve family members, friends, supportive persons. Research has shown that the more supportive the network of the person returning, the better their recidivism potential is. So we made a conscious decision to open it up to the community and to family and friends who are supportive.
Tell me, do you also offer anger management or
Yes.
services?
Yes, I wanted to print you out the calendar, but it's on like legal and it's really, really tiny writing. But every month they have a complete menu of services like that. They have a number of, in fact, what the center manager has told me is, in working with some service providers in the community, they would have people who didn't get to that community service provider. That provider would be at North Star and they'd see the client who missed the appointment at North Star. So what it has evolved in the last couple of years is a lot of service providers are having meetings at North Star because they see their clients there and they're not seeing their clients at their facility. So I think that's a good thing.
Your Going Home to Stay book is important as well.
Yes.
That book, I keep it on, if I can keep it, on our coffee table, so to speak, at the office. And as the public comes through, it never stays. And you could send me, as you always do, send me boxes of books, and I lay them out, and they do not stay. So it's important to continue to get that
Right.
word out.
Well, that's for 211 First Call for Help, and the computerized system that North Star utilizes mirrors that exactly. So North Star is kind of like the living, breathing person, in person, going home to stay guide. So that's good feedback.
And I am in no way complaining because I know you do excellent work, but there's only one vendor, one bidder each time.
That is true, and I think that one of the reasons for that could be is that Oriana House owned that building and completely renovated that building into North Star, and because they've done such a good job of marketing it as kind of like the one-stop reentry shop. I'm wondering if other bidders are even reluctant to bid on that, and I'm not sure what the fix is for that necessarily. We do RFP it, and it's open to the entire community. So yeah, we could look into that, and also satellite locations. There's no reason why other vendors and other people could not provide services. We just have to make sure that they were really well coordinated. But in terms of the Office of Reentry, I mean, we certainly are open to any and all who want to assist us in our mission and helping this population. We're certainly.
And I'll say you're in a perfect location to meet the needs of the individuals right there. You're in the heart of the community right now. As you consider the other areas, I'll simply say I hope we don't look to transition people from one location to another satellite. If there is an expansion, I'd certainly like to keep the
Right, we'd have to be very careful. That would have to be very well thought through and researched to make sure that it's an expansion and not just a replacement.
Excellent. My last question is that, and again, it may come back to the fact that there haven't been many other bidders, but this contract began on January 1, and we're now just seeing it today. In some instances, there can be interruption of services and other things. I imagine that's not the case. Can you
No,
speak
it
to
was
why
not the case, and actually, we had started this process, starting writing the RFP around the end of June. So unfortunately, navigating it through, it closed on September 20th. So we were managing it through the county procurement system, and this is kind of the date where we landed. I guess we could have started in April, maybe. I mean, I guess we'll just have to, really allow 8 months instead of 6 months, I think, so. But no, there was no disruption of service.
Okay, I just always encourage to try to meet that.
No, and that I guess is on us.
All right, thank you.
When did it close again? Director?
It closed on September 20th,
Okay, that was-
and we started the whole process around the end of June with, the procurement process.
Okay, Councilman Tuma.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I just want to say thank you for the work that you guys do. And obviously, as the councilman pointed out, a very important service that's provided to these individuals. As far as the statistics that you provided us with the printout here, how are those made up? Is there an administrative person at North Star who does that, or?
Yes, there is. What they do is they have a reception desk, so everyone who comes through the door has to stop there first. They used to do it all on paper. Now they've got an electronic kind of spreadsheet, case management linked system. So everyone who comes through the door, they sign them in, they get their name, they find out if they're a member, and then they try to identify who they are. Do you have a criminal justice history? Were you formerly incarcerated? Are you a friend or a family member? So they do attempt to track it that way through persons and
One of the questions I have is there a concern about like confidentiality? Some people come in there saying, a little bit apprehensive about participating in a program like that, to get back on their feet, not wanting other people to know, hey, I had this history here and what's going on. Is there confidentiality issues with people, or are they generally receptive to your assistance?
I think that they're generally receptive when you walk in the door. I mean, it's pretty publicly known that this is the North Star Reentry Resource Center, and you're there for some sort of reentry issue. So you speak to someone one-on-one at a desk. They don't like call out names or numbers like Joe Smith, please come to the desk. So I believe that we're sensitive to that, and it's a completely 100% voluntary when people go there. And I have not heard of confidentiality issues, and I believe that Oriana House and our office would be sensitive to that. But I can inquire. But from what I understand, it works pretty well. And they are sensitive to that.
Okay. And the reason I asked is because when Councilwoman Baker was mentioning about the numbers for December, it seemed low compared to the total amounts in some regards for some of those areas.
Well, it could be a sense if someone walks in and says, hello, I'm Mary Kelly, I'm here for services, and they log me into the book and I don't identify, I don't self-report.
Right.
I just need whatever you have. So I'll get clarity on that, and
Right.
that could be part
Right.
of
I
it.
just think it's to the benefit of the program itself to be able to, have more specific in a particular area if it's possible, so
Yeah.
people know what program areas are being utilized properly. So okay, well that's it for me. But I appreciate you
Thank
coming out
you.
this afternoon.
Oh, thank you. And I will pass your supportive words on to our office and our team. Thank you.
Councilman Miller.
Since we're already into the new contract period, I'm going to offer a motion that we favorably recommend Resolution 2017-0006 to the full council with a recommendation that it be considered for second reading suspension.
Second.
Then seconded.
Thank you.
Director Kelly, just wants you to know that, I'm a stickler for 3 readings, so, and starting the you know, it's behind and we don't want to hold up any services, but in moving forward in any contracts coming in, and I will be sharing this with all the director heads, you know, if we know that we're sending it out on the 6 months, maybe we can move it to 8 months so it can actually do its due diligence in 3 readings, you know, because we have a lot of people that really watch HHS, see how their levy dollars are going and, you know, are being spent, and they might want to
Totally.
participate, and some do participate, you know, on a regular basis. So that would just be my wish. So all in favor, it's been moved and seconded to move to second reading suspension, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
And you'll get us that information, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome. All right, miscellaneous business, I just wanted to go over and just put this in your minds, so I don't have to actually write an email. My kind of thought process with HHS, I talked to Councilman Tuma this morning, since he is the vice chair, would he like to come along in all these meetings, and meeting the new directors in case he ever ascends up to chair of this committee. And so we're going to work out some particulars, but my plan is to start with Administrator Pristo, since he is the head, and these are the questions that I will be asking him, as well as each department head. But first, I want to go through proper protocol and make sure that is something that is okay. Councilman Jones has that information for me, and he didn't turn it over to me yet, so I don't know exactly where he's left off, but we will kind of hone that down. I don't want to stop anything that he had in motion. So some of those questions, we want to look at the updates on any new developments, issues, projects regarding HHS for 2017, lease agreements, capital improvements for HHS buildings, the HHS budget, also to gain a better understanding of their roles and responsibilities, programs as they relate to HHS contracts, and how much time they have devoted to coming up with new ideas and initiatives. So that and moving forward, and we also, thanks to Councilman Miller, wrote an HHS plan, a strategic plan, and is working with the administration and how that relates, and so we'll be rolling up our sleeves and trying to help him and assist him. We passed the legislation already, but making sure those things are being worked on, so we don't put his hard work to vain. Any questions in regards to, and if you have any additional things that I need, I think my meeting with Director Pristo is Friday. And so if you have anything, you don't have to shoot them to me, you can shoot them to Levine, and she will add them to the list of questions. And hopefully Scott can make it with us. It's at 9:00, 9 to 11. And we went on his time, and we will be meeting there. And that is another thing. I want to meet them in their own environments. You know, they always come here, but, you know, you see a lot of stuff when you're actually there in the environment. So without any further ado, any questions in regards to that? Love your feedback at any time. Doors always open, phone always open, because I don't think we always hear. The phone is always available. Any other public comments?
Yes, Madam Chair, Ms. Lou.
All right, Ms. Lou. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year and good afternoon. And I'm kind of excited. Finally, the 2016, whatever up and down is in the past. Lots of things were great. Cavaliers got championship, but homeless people really got big troubles. So here, the other lady in her presentation also here saying something about how you interpret data, and the new council member also mentioned that. And recently, I think from the up and down 2016, there's a report coming out saying Ohio, or even our county, our city here, the homelessness is down, the population is less. Please double check, triple check. This report, actually, I found out it's based on HUD's definition of homelessness. It's not based on what we know as a common sense of homelessness. Remember, I think other three members, you remember, I came in even in August, September, and October telling you the homeless family members were still so overflown, they had to stay even in the single adult shelters. So every day, you don't just see 2 or 3 new faces in the single adult shelter. You see maybe 5 to 10, sometimes even it's 15 to 20. So the homeless population actually has been going up, not down. If you look at all the new faces keep coming in with the common sense. I found out the best number probably you guys can look up will be from the school district. The way they define homeless is really to the stand that everybody will accept. If they have such a big number closer to what NEAC and other organizations have instead of that particular report generated by HUD's definition, then you will know this problem is serious. Well, talk about 2016, I think we all remember lots of celebrity passed away too. 30th annual candlelight vigil for homeless people last year. At December 21st, it was with a Catholic center. Later, after they announced all the names from shelter outreach, all the outreach teams, different outreach programs, they found out the number they read is the largest number in 30 years. So please watch out for us. I definitely will come up if you have a question about certain details. Please ask me. I may have some good ideas for you to figure out. For example, the reason you will see the number saying, oh, people only use a shelter for only a certain amount of time, they leave. Of course they leave. If they cannot get help, they cannot stand the place, they leave too. Just like Councilman Baker and that lady said, either you get help, you leave, or you actually don't. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. There anything before us, any other comments?
No, Madam Chair.
All right, this meeting is adjourned.
Right now could hear this, yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
Actually, that's the service, so it's not looking at your email. So then we're streaming, and then when you're done at the end of the meeting, you would just hit this again, and it goes red, and the stream is then ended.
So at the end, hit live stream or record stream again.
Correct. And that's that.
Okay.
And if you check, ooh, there you go. Check, check. Nice and loud. And that's it. You would just hit that.
Okay.
It's like a little mute button. So you just want to check, and you'll know really quickly if you turn on your mic and you don't hear it, mute's on. So you just come and hit that. And that's that.
Alrighty. That's pretty
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah, it is. So that's why I say you have your laptop on first,
Okay.
ready to go, and then the system will see it. And then when you're done, you just hit power off, and that's it. We've made it kind of, tried to make it really user friendly for folks to come in and do exactly what you're doing. You know, have a presentation
And so once I power off, the projector will go up,
It'll go up,
and I just
yeah.
take my laptop and
exactly,
go.
yeah.
Okay.
So ask you, are you sure you want to turn it off? Yeah.
press them, and then you get the green light, and then you know it's on.
Okay.